Good afternoon. Um, Today we have a look on the folder number 7, courtesy notice. We receive several instruments from Heather, so one of this one is the courtesy notice. And let's have a look how it looks like and how we can use it and how to fill the courtesy notice in. So, as we understood till now, everything is also a contract. So every proposal or every letter that we are going to receive from the corporation for a clause look like a contract. And also, especially also from the bank when they ask money to us, or the government that they send us some fine, we need to change the mind on how we look to this paper that usually also come without any proof of deliver sometimes, so can be considered also like publicity. And instead, in the content of this letter that is written that we have to pay for a fine or we have to pay for the missing bill of taxes or whatever. So the courtesy notice help us to defend ourselves in such cases. Okay, and this is the purpose. And with the courtesy notice, we have to write to the men and the women that sign off this letter to us, because as we said also, this woman and men act in their own responsibility versus a living men and women. So there is no offices or corporation that prevent them to not be responsible of their action. So it's important that we identify who signed off the letter. And here I open in a bracket a consideration. You also notice that since 2013 on, they started more and more to forget to sign off this letter that we receive via post. So then we're struggling to identify who is the man or the woman, name and surname, that wrote to us that we have to pay something. And so if we are lucky, we have the name of the policeman, for example, that gave us a fine, a name and surname, or we have the name of surname of the officer that asked us to pay a bill, or a bank officer that asks you to pay something else. If we have it, that means we are also like it, which much easy to identify to whom we have to write the courtesy notice, because the courtesy notice, it's a contract that we are going to forward, officialize from us that we are the proposer, and the replier, that is the one that wrote to us this message. If in the letter that we have received, it's not possible to identify the name and the surname of a man or a woman, we have to start to do a little bit of investigation. So you are free to make your choice of investigation. You can call the office and ask who was the sign offer, who sent me this letter, which is the name and the surname of the person, or you can either decide to investigate in internet. You search, for example, the office of the company name that wrote to you, and you go in deep to verify who is the responsible of that department that wrote to you, or who is the general manager, general director, the general administrator of the company. So you go up to the head of the company, as long you are able to identify a name to whom you want to send this courtesy notice. Okay, so the courtesy notice has a protocol number, so we start to create our own internal family protocol number at home. So I suggest you to make a list, an Excel file, a spreadsheet, where you can write every time that you create your protocol inside. The protocol for us is given by the first letter of our name and surname, dash 01 is the protocol 1 that you are writing now. If was is the courtesy notice number 3 or 4, you have to follow your internal protocol number and write here at which protocol number are you. Then you can put a dash and then month, day, and years of the day that you are writing. So today, you're writing the day of today. You put the city, the peninsula, nation, the day of the month of the year of the day of today. So these two data are equal. Then we have to write our data. So we are a living man or living woman, name and surname, our address is here. And the false sleeper is the unfortunately man or woman that decide to write us asking us money for something. So here we're going to write the name and the surname. And you can also write here below, for example, that this the name of the office of the or the office of the department that wrote to you. So I'm searching for the replier that I know that work, for example, for the police station in Milan, for example. This is the address of the police station in Milan, okay? But never mention here the position, the function, like a policeman or like the general director of. No, we talk with the man, name and surname, in which office he worked, so only the company name and the address of the company. So here we are going to write the data, the name and surname are your name and surname. When you find name and surname, it's always your name and surname. When you find the root, this false sleeper, it's the name of the replier that you have to write. You write here the date of your births, okay, your IM, your dot data, your name and surname again. Now, it's required, when you fill in the courtesy notice, you have to pay attention on this part, okay? This part, because here you explain to them or to the person that you're writing to, why you are sending the courtesy notice to the false sleeper. And it's easy and simple, so you have just only to follow here the instruction how look like if the name of the false sleeper is written in the paper. It's really easy. If it's written in the paper, follow here. So you write here the object of the letter. If they put you a protocol their protocol number in this letter, you write it. Otherwise, you remove it. You put it the day that they have shipped or the date of the letter, and when you have received it. Okay. And who claimed that? The false sleeper. So the false sleeper has like officer or policeman name and surname, false sleeper. Okay. The address. Okay. And it's easy, then it's easy here. But as I said before, in the letter that you receive, you have not found the name and surname that sign off this letter, then you are searching for the head of the department, head of the company, the president or general director. In such case, where you choose someone that was not written in the paper, on the paper that you are received, you have to pay attention here and include the connection, okay? So here you have to include the connection between the letter and why you are writing to this man or woman, okay? So for example, here you can write always the object that you have received when, claim it by, you can write claim it by the department, the office, police station of Milan, for example, and then you put the connection, okay, with address in you put the address of this police station, for which you can write the general director or the head of the police. False sleeper, it's responsible for, it's direct responsible for. So that's mean that the head of the department is direct responsible of this letter, even if it has not written to me, because the officer in their office decide to write this letter to me for his company, and if he's the director of the responsible of this department, he is the direct responsible of this action. So here then you have to pay attention and make this slight adjustment to ensure that you explain very good to the replier why you are writing to him, because he's the responsible, because he's general director, it's the president of the company that write to you, okay? And when you have fixed this properly, then you can continue to fill in always. When you find the false sleeper, it's always the replier. When you find the role responsibility, you have to put the function, it's officer, policeman, general director, or so ever. Private society within the right of Italian Republic, if it's this country, or if it's another country, you wrote the country where you are, and where are you taking action with the courtesy notification. Also here, you can change Republic of Italy. In the header of, you pay attention here, you have to put your IM code on the top. In the footer, also your IM code, you have to correct your IM code here, okay? Then you proceed, pay attention on the use of the courtesy notice, because read careful all the comma, all the point that will fit perfectly for the meaning of the use that you want to do with the courtesy notice, because you are rejecting a contract. So you ensure that you read everything, and for you have sense what you are doing. Okay, so the courtesy notice, for example, has no sense if you are paying the courtesy notice. That's mean a rejection. Okay, a rejection of a contract has no sense if you have a contract versus another men and women. For example, if I have my apartment, I'm not the owner of my apartment, but I am on rent basis, okay, and I have to live in apartment, so I have to have an house where to live, and I decide not to buy, but I'm living in rent, for example, in rent formula. Obviously that I have to pay my rent, okay, because the property is not mine. The property is of another man and women, okay, for that give me with a contract in agree his house. So in honor, I have to pay him the apartment to permit to stay. So for example, we have to pay the rent to be in honor, okay? And there is no way that you can use a courtesy notice versus a rental format of the apartment or rent of something else, you know. The important that you understood the concept that I want to tell you. So read careful. Just not take the courtesy notice and use it, because you are signing off a document, you have to know the content, and all the content need to be correct for the purpose of the use that you want to apply, okay? So read it. Where you find the professional order or society of right, for example, if you are writing, I don't know, to a lawyer or to a doctor or to a health institute, is the order of medicine, order of lawyer, order of something. If you are writing just to for a fine to a police office, then you can write to the police department, to the police office. And where there is object is also always referent to the object that you report before, the object of the content of the email with the protocol, if it's available, the protocol inside this document, you know. False sleeper then has been identified, so it's always the name of the replier. His professional orders, here you can write as director of the society, or has a head of police station, etc., etc. You can write here to specify, identify the right. So here is the same. Here is the same. Also here, claim by the police station or the order of, etc., etc. You define case by case what you have to write. Here you put your name and surname, your IM, your dot number. Here your autograph with the fingerprint. You fill in here also here the city, land, and month and day of the day. Here at the footer is request not the two letter the two letter of the signature, so the first of the name and the second of the surname with the fingerprint. And in the footer, as usual, as we know, we also have to make an autograph here, okay, and then an fingerprint here, every time at the footer. So now we are writing to what we specify in the courtesy notice, the term and condition of our contract. So here the protocol number is reference to the protocol number that you give to this courtesy notice. Also here is the same at the very top here that you wrote. Whoop. And here the replier and the proposer are still the same. The name of the living men and women, and the replier name that you identify. Here the protocol number is the same one, protocol number. Here you're writing term and condition. Officially, the condition that we are giving to them, the concept of the courtesy notice, say everything is foreclosed and no government exists that can force me to pay something from their side. And so I put this on this declaration. If something is not true, you have to come back to me, but now I'm declaring what I'm saying here is the truth. So the only things possible. So let's have a look what we term and acceptance. This is its important area as well, because depending on the case that you are managed, okay, you have to verify if the content reflects really what you request to do or require to do. So here in the form is written, acceptance consists in the consent of the replier to the following. 1. Full agreement with term and conditions stipulated in any by means of this act. 2. Irrevocable acceptance of the payable charges and stipulated in sheet A. Okay. 3. Renouncement by the replier at each right of objection, immunity, or defense. This is usually stay as is. The number 4 instead is the one that we read now what is written, but can be adjusted accordingly on what you want. The only action consented is the filing and cancellation of the claim and debit, and of all this at your office, register, archive, et similia, to the juridical function, surname and name. This is your surname and name written as usual. It's written in all the paper that we receive it, okay? So first the surname and then the name in capital letter, right, like this, and totally null and annulled by IM within 28 days. So we are saying the only action that you can do is the cancellation of any claim debit from your register of my juridical function, that is this name and surname, that are cancelled and nulled by IM within 28 days. So if you are doing something that do not request to complete the cancellation of anything because it's just partially a contract that you want to reject or something, this is a crucial point. So attention to point number 4, and attention as you put attention on this area when you identify, for example, the person that writes to you that it's not written in the letter. So this area and this area of the courtesy notice need to be paid attention by you, that you are sure that using properly regarding your case, okay? Regarding your case. Then here there is the sheet A. That is nothing that you have to change. This is at the point with the description of the voice, that as long after they're receiving the courtesy notice, they took action personally, mean if this false sleeper write to you or any others of his department contact you, or the company contact you for the same reason of the first letter that generate the courtesy notice, you are in the right to activate the contract, identify the voice that they the action that they have done with reading the description, it activate the contract, and the second step, and send invoice to them. So it's important that it's clear because one thing that it's most important every time they receive our documentation, you have seen that there is this sentence everywhere. For the principal agent doctrine, preserved and guaranteed by public policy UCC 103, right to remedy the under guaranteed public policy UCC 1304. But another things that it's important, I want to show you. One second, we go back. It's for the principal agent doctrine. They also have to notify the officer have to notify above and the director have to notify below. So to get in contact and to spread the information up and down. So there is no justification for them. If someone say, we were not being informed or no one told us, there is no justification for this excuse, okay? So that's why we say if someone of them within that company received this one, the one that received the one that received the courtesy note has to notify all to prevent that someone activate his contract, okay? Otherwise, we issue invoice. There is the end of the document with, again, the autograph, your fingerprint, there is the footer. The attachment of the document, what I attach to the courtesy notice, my IM, my DOD, the declaration and order, that means the military order, and the contract rejected. What's the contract rejected is, it's available here, how to reject the contract. So you receive a letter. This letter need to manually reject it with a straight like this. You write null, and you wrote, I reject this contract proposal without prejudice UCC 1-308. I forbid your procedure, I forbid your procedure and I deny consent to the processing, maintenance and transfer of my personal data non-negotiable. And I am without dishonor your IM, your signature and your fingerprint. This is the contract, so that the paper that you receive at home that has to be rejected, okay? And this is done only for the contract that you are completely want to reject. I want to clarify this before you receive a bill of the electricity. You don't want to pay the electricity taxes, for example, and you reject the contract. You cannot reject the contract because the contract, you need it, you need the electricity, so you want to deal with them in another way properly. And this is something different, just to tell you which kind of contract you can receive and are different contract by contract. So that prevent that you make mistake doing a rejection or something that instead you need it, like the electricity or the gas or whatever. So here it's all. There is, at your kind attention, a nice letter to try to awake the men and the women that receive the courtesy notice. This is really important. You change the country, you change the name of the one that receive the courtesy notice, and with this letter we try, you sign off as usual, we try to awake and spread around what happened with the OPPT 1776 in 2012, 2013, much more souls as possible. And this is how to fill in the courtesy notice and the attachment. And the courtesy notice need to be addressed to the one that you have to find the address, email address of the one that wrote to you, the department. And if you also investigate in internet, maybe you can also find at the end the email of the general director of this company, or the head of, so to spread around the message when you're going to reply to the court with a courtesy notice. And you can write a message with an object, your contract rejected and courtesy notice for, so that everyone that received need to be sure to send the courtesy notice attached to the name and surname. So where it's possible, try to find the contact email of the name and surname of the person to of the person of the courtesy notice. If not possible, you wrote to hold the head of and the department back again with this message they supposed to deliver to them. In the text of the email, you just have to copy here the message, changing with your data, okay? And here in yellow, right here, the subject of the contract. So fine or any other document received that you are going to reject and for which you decide to create the courtesy notice. So here in the text, you just can kind of remind them exactly what you wrote at the beginning in the courtesy notice. So you can write the subject of the document, the protocol number, the month of the day that you have received it, and it's clear, identify for which reason you are writing back to them. So that's it. So you prepare the text, you adjust with your data, you prepare the courtesy notice with all the attachment required, you sign off everything, you scan it, and you send to the person that wrote to you. And this is how the courtesy notice can be prepared. I hope that I clarify some point of your question that usually come to international, and that will be that is much more clear for you, especially the tricky point and the important fact that you have to read what you are writing to them and if it has sense to apply the courtesy notice for your cases. Every case is different, each case is different, so it's important to analyze case by case, okay? So you have to reflect on what you are doing, and you are always acting under your full unlimited responsibility. Don't forget this. Thank you very much.